Hey guys, welcome back to Unbox Analysis. Today we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to be focusing on audio and what you can make with today's technology. So some of you might recognize something like this. Parents' house, your dad's garage. This is an audio amplifier, receiver, head unit. It does all sorts of things, but its main purpose, power big speakers, play a loud sound good. This over here, this is something I made. I used to make these years ago. Basically what this is a Bluetooth speaker with a built-in battery. Super compact, simple, tough, and it sounds good. Now, technology's come a long way, so what do these two things have in common? Well, they play audio. That brings us to today's unbox. This is the 1002T audio amplifier. It is a super tiny, compact audio amplifier that you can use to build audio into just about anything you want. You can build it into anything from a military ammo can to a suitcase to a desk, really just about anything you want. So let's get into this guy, let's check it out, and let's see how you could use it or what it'll power. Let's see if this thing really is anywhere near 100 watts at 2 channels and just kind of check it out. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so this is a ZK 102T amp board. This is supposedly a 100 watt by 2 channel amplifier in a crazy small package. So, opening it up first, we have what looks to be an amplifier board manual. Shows all the different controls, kind of where the plugins go, because this isn't going to be like your normal amplifier. This isn't going to be as plug and play. Looks like we got a set of knobs here, plastic, and a little Phillips head screwdriver. Next up, we have pretty solid metal mounting plate. It looks like there's 2 plates, so I imagine the board is going to sandwich in between 2 of them. And it states on here, hi-fi power amplifier. Again, it says 100 watt times 2, so that means 100 watts per channel, 2 channels. It appears to have bass and treble. It'll run from DC 12 to 24 volts. I imagine you're going to need at least an amp, probably 2. Let's see right here. Oh, this is actually suggesting 3 amp or higher for continuous power. But it will run anywhere from DC 9 to 24 volts. All right, next up we have the board itself. I mean, it looks pretty good, pretty simple. Here's the board. So on the board here, you can see capacitors, a little bit of passive cooling here. You're going to have your 2 separate channel inputs here in the back, as well as a DC barrel input and an aux port. On the front, you're going to have volume, bass, and treble, possibly in that order. This one doesn't appear to have any Bluetooth or wireless connectivity, but a lot of the cheaper boards nowadays you can get for anywhere from $10 to $100. They'll have Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or I'll show you a way to add it here in a little bit for a pretty cheap price. So I guess now what we're going to do, I'm going to rearrange the setup here a little bit and we'll put it together. Okay, so here on this we have all the specifications to this board. Product model, channel number, the amount of connections it has for speakers, the power supply that it needs, the wattage, and the ohms. Now, ohms are super important. If you use an improper ohm, so this is 4 to 8. If you use something that's 10 or 12 ohms combined, you can burn up the amp pretty quick. I'll put a link down below of a place where you can go to do ohm calculations for speakers. It's pretty simple, but sometimes it just helps to double check. And then here it says 100 plus 100 watt peak power. So on average, most decent amplifiers are going to run about half of their peak power for RMS. That is a continuous output overall. So we'll try to see if we can test that out once we get to it. It does not have a guide on how to put it together, but it doesn't look too complicated. So let's throw it together. So in the bag here, we have 2 metal plates. They appear to be stamped out aluminum with some little bit of design and just some basic information on them here. Then we have plenty of standoffs and little screws. So let's start off by looking at the bottom of the amplifier. You can see there's a bunch of contact points here and here,
Now these are direct contacts to the controllers and to your speakers, and you do not want these touching direct metal. So let's get the standoffs on first, and then we'll mount this to it and put the top cap on, see how it looks. So for the standoffs here, you're going to start out by holding this here and bringing the Phillips screw in from the back, just tightening it down pretty snug. Simply repeat this a few times. Then once you're done, we'll get the board on. Looking good though so far. I really like the black, aluminum, and bronze aesthetic here. Okay, now that we have all 4 standoffs on, we're going to take the board itself, line it up over top of the standoffs, and they all should slide right into the pre-drilled holes on the board. From there, you're going to take the other standoffs, and we're going to just screw them on top of the first set. Okay, once you have the 4 standoffs on, we'll throw the top cap on. Make sure you have the letters up. It's really going to help you when you try to figure out which one is treble, bass, which speaker is which, stuff like that. Okay, now that we have the top cap on, we can go ahead and throw the knobs on. Those are going to be super simple. They just press fit right on. Now, if you want, turn them all the way to the left here, then line up the little dot, little notch there, all in the same position. It'll make it look a little bit nicer, and you'll have an idea as to where your levels are, depending on what you're doing. Just a nice little touch to add when you're doing anything with custom knobs. Keep them all lined up, make them look nice. Okay, now that we have it all on, let's go over a couple small things here. So these do not come with power supplies normally. I'm sure you can find some links with them. So what you want to pay attention to is this guy here. So right here, it's kind of hard to see, but you can see that it needs 12 to 24 volts. And as the paperwork said, it needs a minimum of 3 amps. It'd probably run off 2, but for maximum output and give this thing the best chance, you're going to want to go with what it suggests. Now, an important thing to consider if you're looking at random power supplies online is this diagram right here. This diagram is on most DC outlets that you'll find. And what it shows is that the center connector is the power pin. So just line this up with the pictures you find online and you should be good to go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some speakers. We're going to plug this little guy in and we're going to see how it sounds.
Okay, so we have this all put together. I brought some speakers in. Now if you look close, you're going to see these speakers are pretty dirty. These are my garage speakers. They are Polk Audio tower speakers. They have a 6-inch driver here, and they have a 6-inch subwoofer in the bottom, along with some mids and tweeters in the center. So it normally takes a pretty big unit to power them. The unit I had sitting here in the beginning, the big box, that is what runs these guys. They're pretty loud, they're pretty powerful. So let's get this thing connected and see what we can actually do with it. First thing you're going to want to do is, well, grab speakers out of your garage, set them up randomly, put a camera up, normal stuff. Then we're going to open up these sections here. You just screw to the left, the screw rises up, and you can put the cables right in there. All right, last but not least, we're going to plug in our power adapter here. I mean, that's kind of how it's going to look. It's not the prettiest setup in the world overall with all the cables coming out, but there's a lot of custom builds you could do with this to make this look pretty nice. Honestly, you could build this into a computer. That would be pretty impressive, and since it runs off of 12 volts, I'm not going to wire it in that way, but I bet you could wire this directly in to run off the power supply on your computer, since it does not take a ton of power to run. Got the aux port in.
Get her plugged in for the test. Let's turn it on. All right. Got a little noise right off the start, a little ding for us, huh? Does have a little blue power light indicator here, flashing. This might actually have Bluetooth. Okay, it appears what I said earlier was wrong. This one actually does have Bluetooth built in. I didn't even see the board or the wires in there. Normally they're pretty easy to spot on these guys. So now we're gonna give it a little audio test with some, let's do some crab rave. You gotta be kidding me. Okay, that is unreal. That is crazy impressive. Okay, these are loud. The bass is crisp and clear. They sound awesome. Let me throw a decibel meter on there and just get an idea. All right, let's take a look. All right, so that was the decibel meter. Now here's just me talking, just to get a kind of a clip. Overall, I just have to say, this thing is impressive. This puts up quality next to a $300 receiver at an absolute fraction of the cost. I think this one was somewhere around $20 or $30. I'll put the price probably up here. So this thing is super cool. Now I'm gonna try to find a good audiobook, or possibly an ebook to put in the description down below for anybody who wants to learn a little bit more about speakers and amplifiers, because this stuff is just super entertaining and there's so much you can do with this. Now, if you guys want to see me do some more stuff with these, build it into something, or if you want me to review any other type of audio stuff, let me know. Until then, check out some of the other videos. I'll pull one up here and here, and we'll see you next time.